Good morning. I hope you guys are having a great start to your Friday. It is like winter back here again. So wherever you are, I hope you've got beautiful sunshine, and if not, enjoy the rainy weather and maybe some snuggly movie time. But today, wanting to jump in and chat definitely about feeling flat, exhausted and tired. And I think that this can really hit each of us at different times in our lives, just depending on what's actually going on. Good morning, good morning. Say a big hello if you're jumping on. Hey Sandra, lovely to have you on here, hun. So this is one of the big factors, and when I was running my kinesiology practice, over 70% of my clients, really probably 80% of my clients more accurately, was affected by this particular one thing. This particular thing can have us feeling depressed, can increase feelings of anxiety. Hey Stacey, great to have you on, honey. It can also reduce our emotional resilience or our ability to be able to regulate our emotions. Hey Teresa, great to have you on. It can create further stresses in our life. Generally, it's that feeling of dragging yourself out of bed, of being so physically fatigued that you feel like you can't get on and do what you need to in a day, and it's exhausting. And I think leading up to Christmas, a lot of people tend to feel this pressure, particularly coming into the end of the year. Generally, there's a lot of events on. Generally, we're having later nights, and it all creates this perfect storm. And so that's why I was wanting to really jump on and speak about this today, simply because a lot of the time it is actually there present in our life, or it can be present in our life long term, and particularly if you've been under long-term stress, or you've had any form of surgery, illness, or just, and when I say long-term stress, that might be low-level financial stress or high-level financial stress. It could be chronic pain in your body or chronic inflammation. It can be relationship issues or challenges. It could be some personal things that you're working through internally with yourself as well. Hey Joe, great to have you on. Kind of jumping ahead there with my words. All of these things really can compound to create a lot of physical fatigue and exhaustion, and particularly when the body's kind of going through like a lot of challenges physically as well, like health-wise, then this can tend to exacerbate. And I've seen people that are normally A-type, driven personalities, real go-getters, like always on the go, always like after wanting to create things or do things that have normally got loads of energy, literally feel like they've totally crashed, and they wonder what is wrong with them. And it's kind of like going to put your foot, hey Jess, great to have you on. It's like going to put your foot on the accelerator, and there's just nothing there. There's nothing, like you just can't go. And if you've experienced this before, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. There's lots of signs and symptoms. Generally, it's an inability to be able to regulate your body temperature. So either you feel a lot more susceptible generally to the cold, so you'll have cold hands and feet. You might feel like you've got like itchy legs, particularly on the calves, which can indicate liver stuff kind of going on for you. You might just feel really flat and not know why. There mightn't be any particular emotional reason why or anything else, but it's just like, I just feel flat in myself. Hey Lisa, great to have you on, honey. It could be I'm just trying to think of some other signs and symptoms. Sometimes blurry vision, ringing in the ears, or just like temporary hearing loss, and that can like feel like a little bit weird when that's happening. It might be when you're exercising. Normally you'd actually feel really great after exercising, but you actually feel like rubbish instead. So all of these things kind of can compound as well, and we tend to do what we've always done, which only further compounds the problem. And that's like, well, I just need to work harder, I just need to be more organized, or I just need to be more on top of things. Hey Rach, great to have you on, honey. Hey Cal. And it really can create greater and greater challenges then for our physical wellness. And if you haven't guessed by now, what I'm actually talking about is adrenal fatigue. And adrenal fatigue, it really comes from the adrenal or nervous system just being in this high vigilant state for a long period of time, where it becomes no longer sustainable to live that way or operate that way. So initially, if you're like me, I'm a bit of an adrenaline junkie as well. I really like to push the limits. limits, even so far as, oh, what can I get done before this particular time? Or, you know, if I'm got to go out somewhere, it's like I'll push it right to the last second, trying to get all these last minute things done. But done long term, it really can be very, very damaging, like I said, for our endocrine system, our adrenal system, but not only that, just for our emotional well-being. When you're constantly trying to cram things into your day, trying to get more done, then, you know, it doesn't allow the space to actually sit back and reflect and say, you know, is this what I'm really, really wanting in my life? So like I said, adrenal fatigue can present with many, many different symptoms. It can have, you know, all of those different ramifications, which I said at the start, and tends to create more of the same as well until we actually change what we're actually doing. So for me, I've always worked from the framework of kinesiology, which is the body is an amazing messenger for the soul, or for our heart, and it's kind of like letting us know this way of being is actually no longer sustainable. It's actually not the way to operate, and a lot of us operate from that I have to, I need to, I must, I should, I'm obligated. I was chatting with a gorgeous businesswoman yesterday, and she said, you know, quite often she feels so overwhelmed by her to-do list. She's got 2 young kids, got a lot going on. She's very driven, very excited and passionate about her business, but finding that she's just not present at all when she's spending time with the kids. And, you know, we can all put our hands up there. Well, I'm pretty sure we can. You know, I've definitely felt like that at times, where you're like so focused or so locked on or so much in your masculine energy as well, which is that focus, the discipline, the driven, all of that. Hey, Bronnie, great to have you on. Hey, Marie. And it really can create a lot of challenges then moving forward, because particularly for women, we really need to honour like our monthly cycle and what our body actually needs to happen there. Now, that may not always be convenient timing. Totally get that. I've been there myself, going, oh my goodness, here I am, you know, running a retreat or running a workshop, and my body's actually saying, no, this is the time where you should actually be resting. So I totally get that, and it's not about creating the perfect balance. To be honest, I think the perfect balance is complete and utter bullshit, to be perfectly honest with you. Hey Kelly, great to have you on. But I do think that we can mitigate and we can become really conscious of when we've got a lot on, to create space over the next day or two afterwards to be able to rest, rejuvenate, or to just start to clear our schedule. When we're saying yes to everything all the time, and it's not an absolute hell yes, we're actually doing it out of guilt. Guilt is a really crappy reason to do anything. We really want to be coming back to like our truest values and going, what is actually truly important to me? And I think we're driven in a society by FOMO, you know, fear of missing out. And so we're busy saying yes to everything because we don't want to miss out on an opportunity, or we don't want to miss out on something social or any of those things. And we tend to ignore the deeper messages that's coming through from the body. Now, long term, what actually happens in this place, if you are continually ignoring the messages of the body's messages are just going to get louder and louder and louder. And, you know, in simple terms, your symptoms are going to get worse. Now, I know a lot of people that are challenged with either thyroid, you know, hyperthyroidism or hypothyroidism. Generally, it's the hypo, so when the thyroid's not active enough, you know, that communicates with our endocrine, well, it's all part of the endocrine system, but that communicates with the adrenals as well, and with our the amount of adrenaline and everything else, and the cortisol. And a lot of the time when it's difficult to lose weight, or we've gained a lot of weight around our stomach, it'll be because of high cortisol levels long term as well. And when we've got high levels of, we all need cortisol. Cortisol is not a bad thing, but too much of it over a long period of time. If you think about, you know, caveman days, it's like the caveman believing that he's being chased by the tiger, but it's 24/7. It's not just for half an hour where he can run, escape, and then rest and relax and go, oh, glad that's over. We tend to be waking up and go, and it's like we're living our life that way as well. Hey Pete, great to have you on. And remember as well, like our days are mini versions of our life. So however you're living at the moment, generally we're pretty habitual creatures, right? So if you're stressed, if you're exhausted, if you're tired, I can promise you that unless something changes, this is going to become your life. And I don't know about you, but I certainly don't want to be living as a stressed out, crazy mama for the rest of my life. It's not fun when we're in that state. And I certainly lived in that survival state for a long period of time. Thanks, Jess. That's great, honey. We can all do with that reminder at times for sure. What do we do about this? How do we start to overcome it? The first thing is awareness. How are you feeling in the morning? Are you exhausted? Are you drinking loads of coffee? For me, that's my first big sign. 1 coffee a day is completely fine for me, but if I'm getting up to 3, 4, 5 cups of coffee, I'm completely out of integrity with my own values. I'm completely out of integrity with my health, and I'm generally, obviously, pushing it so hard that if I feel like, hey Trace, great to have you on, that if I feel like I've got to have that much coffee to get through my day, my body's exhausted and I'm not listening to it. So you may or may not resonate with that. For you, it might be Coke, or it might be cups of tea, or it might be chocolate, or it might be sweet cravings. A lot of the time sugar will come in, or caffeine. Alcohol can be another one, simply because it's generally high carbohydrate as well. Or you might be craving sweet or salty foods. Salt is another one as well, which lets us know where the body's having trouble regulating itself. And so these can all just be signs and symptoms of, hang on, where am I actually heading with my health? What's actually going on here at a deeper level? Hey Jane, great to have you on, honey. So when we're tuning in, so the first thing is definitely self-awareness. Get clear, tune into your body. Even if it's 5 minutes a day, you just tune in and go, body, how are you feeling today? I know that might sound a bit weird and random, but it's one of the biggest things. Get tuned in with have you got aches and pains. Having weak knees can also be a sign or symptom of adrenal fatigue. Or having just random pains within your body as well. You might have headaches or neck tension, particularly for women when they're in that masculine energy a lot. So the go, 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 got to get it done, drive, 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 and the focus and the discipline. It's not bad to be in that, but we just need to be super, super conscious. And when we're living in that state, that's really exhausting for the female body. And you'll tend to get a lot of tension up here. A lot of the time as females, I think that we're taking on extra responsibility. So we're taking on, oh my God, I need to manage this for everybody. We're trying to control the world, or control circumstances, or control people if we're freaked out or we're not feeling safe. And I did a self-defense course on the weekend, and it was quite confronting for me in a lot of ways. Hey SJ, great to have you on, hon. And the reason for that is, I think it was a huge reminder. There were some other things for me as well, but it was a huge reminder that as women, I think that we're so hypervigilant when we go out of our houses as well, or maybe even in your house as well. I know as a single mum, laying awake some nights, going, oh my God, what's going on out there, or, you hear funny noises and things like that. All of that is switching on the adrenal nervous system, and we're in that fight flight state, we're in that survival state. Like I said, financial pressure, relationship pressures, or perhaps, you're eating some things that are really not serving your body. So it could be health-wise, particularly if you're craving. So it tends to, we've all been through that situation when life gets busy, we tend to really start to go for the sugary foods, go for the coffee. Diet can be one of the first things that we fall off the wagon with, because I haven't got time to prepare anything, and we'll tend to go for whatever's quickest and easiest, and that can be quite detrimental. And so then that starts us on that downward spiral as well. Of course, when we eat rubbish, we feel like rubbish. You'll have your sugar high, and then you'll crash again, and then you'll be looking for the next high, and you spend all day going up and down like this. by 5 p.m. it's like, oh my God, I'm like so wiped, I've got nothing left. I know I can get like that with coffee. So all of these things, it's like, number one, having awareness around it. What is your body saying to you? If you haven't yet got Louise Hay's Heal Your Body book, definitely grab that book and have a look. What are the signs or symptoms that are showing up for you, and what is the affirmation that relates to that as well? It's a huge thing to really be aware of, because a lot of that, it lets us know what's going on in the mind, or you know, the frustrations that are coming up, or where we need to shift or change emotionally, or what is the limiting belief. So a lot of us have the limiting belief, you know, I've got to work hard to deserve money, or I've got to work hard to get money, or everything's got to be like a push, or it's all my fault, or I'm not enough, or I'm not this, or like, so we've all got that stuff going on. It's our human ego mind, our survival mind, but when we're living in that state, like I said, it can be exhausting and tiring, and we're also role modeling that for our kids as well. And a lot of women say to me, you know, oh, I feel so guilty if I'm you know, taking time out for myself. You know, it's selfish. It is so selfish not to take care of yourself. In the airplane, you know, the best analogy, hey Janine, great to have you on. You know, in an aeroplane, if there's an emergency and the oxygen mask come down, they don't say put the oxygen mask on everybody else first. They say put the oxygen mask on yourself first. And I love that analogy. My mentor Scott Harris always shares that one, and I think it's powerful. Hey Bev, great to have you on. Simply because we forget that, and you cannot give anything from an empty bucket. And I think this is where women do work themselves into adrenal exhaustion very quickly. And particularly like after we've had a child, or particularly if you've had a couple of children close together, like in a short time frame. I know for me, I had my second daughter, and they're about 18 months apart, but at the time, like my former husband and I had bought a 7-day-a-week cafe when I was 7 months pregnant. I started working 17-hour days when I was 7 months pregnant. Not a good start to, obviously, you know, taking great care of my physical body, and I did, like, I you know, I would be very emotionally unresourceful. I'd be tired, I'd be cranky, I'd be impatient with my kids. You know, all of that stuff was going on, and I wasn't coping with life very well at the time. There were some other exacerbating factors with that, but we can tend to then fall back into that victim mode or that powerless mode as well, and that doesn't serve us either. So by understanding what is your thought pattern that's going on, what is the belief that's creating that you have to do it all, that you are responsible, you're the only one that's totally responsible, that you can't be supported in other ways, or you can't ask for help, or perhaps you believe, you know, you've got to put the brave face on, and we can all do that at times. We can feel like, oh, I can't show the world, you know, that I do need help. And it was a huge thing for me years ago when I actually started asking for help. I'm like, oh, you know, I just felt bad. I felt guilty for all of that. But it was the best thing that I did. Like, I love helping people. I don't know about you guys. I'm sure that you do too when you're in a great state. So, you know, we're denying people the opportunity to actually make a difference in our lives as well when we say, no, I've got it. You know, it's all okay. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about me. And we're really stepping into martyrdom there as well. So the more that we can collaboratively work together, either as a family unit or all together, will make a huge difference. So like I said, number one, self-awareness. Number two, understand what is the thought pattern or the belief that's actually creating this situation in the first place. So I've got to get it all done, or I haven't got enough money, or whatever's going on for you. Hey Paul. And then the next step then is actually starting to take care of yourself physically. Because of course, as we all know, if we're feeling better physically, then emotionally and mentally, you're also going to be doing better. So take the extra time, even if it's 5 or 10 minutes, you know, boil some eggs up, have some lemon water in the morning, make sure you're getting 3 liters of water. Ditch the processed carbohydrates, focus on whole foods, focus on getting more fruits and veggies into your diet as well. You know, lean meats, nuts and seeds, all of those things. Gluten, dairy and highly processed sugars are all inflammatory causing foods. They've done the scientific research on it, and they are 3 highest foods that cause inflammation in the body. So if you're consuming lots of those things, it might be caffeine, it might be alcohol, all of those things are quite acidic for the body, and the body actually needs to pull calcium from the bones in order to rebalance the pH of the blood. It can only change by a minute micron, otherwise we die. Like, it's that critical. And so the more that we're alkalizing our body with lots of green foods and things like that, I can promise you will immediately feel better. Deep breathing, super important. So taking in those big deep breaths. A lot of the time when we're stressed, when we're anxious, when we're go and we're in that sympathetic nervous system or that fight flight response, and we're rushing and we feel like we're tired but we're wired, like you can't stop, you can't relax, we're not breathing deeply, and that also creates a lot of acid in the body as well. So by taking time to do big deep belly breaths as well, start to regulate your breathing. It's why yoga and meditation are also super important, or even just going for a walk out in nature and starting to get really present with what's going on around you. It could be just sitting in a meditation. Meditation doesn't need to be crazy. I know I only started with like 2 minutes a day simply because my mind was so hectic. I couldn't stand sitting there listening to my mind for 2 minutes. But what happened over a period of time, my mind did get quieter and quieter. And I started tuning into outside sounds. The other thing that I did was just focus on my breath, just counting 2 breaths in, 2 breaths out, or 4 breaths in, 4 breaths out. So there's a lot that you can do. There's some great meditation apps out there, obviously, that you can tap into, or even just Google meditation on YouTube. You'll find a plethora of things on there. Like I said, yoga is great. There's some great restorative poses. So if you look up restorative yoga poses, this also helps the autonomic nervous system to switch from sympathetic back to parasympathetic. A lot of people end up with massive digestive problems when we are in that fight-flight state for a long period of time. As you can imagine, the body doesn't care about digesting food or digesting breakfast if it's being chased by the tiger. It's like, hell no, we're going to put all the blood to the limbs and the brain and our legs and arms to escape this, to get out of this. It's not focusing on, oh, let's digest this food, let's assimilate all our nutrients. It doesn't care about that in that time. So if we're constantly on the go, if you're eating food in the car or eating food at your desk, then your body's not going to be absorbing, even if you are eating a great nutritious meal, your body's not going to be absorbing the amount of nutrients that's critical for your body's health and well-being. So there's just a few little hints. Obviously, early nights, super important. Great food in the body. If you are exhausted when you go to do exercise, so physical exercise, I find weight training exceptional for that, particularly if you're trying to do like crazy cardio workouts. You will be immediately in the fight-flight response, simply because it's a raised heart rate, it's a sustained raised heart rate, and generally we're running or we're doing something very physically active. Weight training, you will sustain a lower heart rate whilst you train. Not only that, it produces great growth hormones for the body, which is really the fountain of youth. Hey, Margarita. So really important to think about, not only the exercise that you're doing or the amount of exercise that you're doing, but the type of exercise. If you're really exhausted, listen to your body and maybe just do some gentle yoga or stretching. That will serve your body so super well. I haven't actually heard scientific studies on this, but I know that it's super true for me. The more sleep that you get in before midnight is absolutely essential to your health. So if you can, get earlier nights rather than staying up to 10, 11, 12 p.m. and then maybe sleeping until 7 or 8 the following morning. You may not have the luxury of sleeping that late. Hey Louise, great to have you on. If if you've got young kids or you're obviously getting ready for work and things like that, but a lot of people stay up way too late simply because they're too tired to get up and go to bed. So I haven't owned a TV for years, but if you're one of those people that just need that time to chill out and zone out, I'd suggest think about a couple of other different hobbies that you could do. Or if you do like watching TV and there's particular programs you love, great, watch those and then turn it off. Just do it consciously, because the more that we get trapped in, you know, even the Facebook scroll hole, that can be exhausting as well. And a lot of the time we're living in that got to go, you know, reactive, stressful situation that we're looking to escape our life. We're looking to distract ourselves. We use it to procrastinate, all those things, and they're only going to create greater compound effects. Another great video to check out, hey Leanne, great to have you on, would also be Stephen Covey's 4 quadrants, because he talks a lot about when we're living in quadrant 1, which is it's urgent and important, and we tend to live our days that everything is urgent, everything is important, and we get taken off track or side blinded constantly by other people's needs or other people's wanting something from us, without the ability to actually say, hang on a second, this is what I actually had on my agenda today. I'm sorry, but I can't actually do that today. Or, you know, let's work out another time. Or just actually saying no more often in our life as well is really, really important, particularly if you're unwell, or you're noticing some of these signs and symptoms with adrenal fatigue as well. So I hope that's been super helpful. Thank you so much, Leanne. And so really quick run through again, awareness is key. So if you're adrenally flat, exhausted and tired, you're finding you haven't got the physical energy to spring out of bed, you're feeling emotionally flat, and of course I didn't mention, you know, clearing the clutter for mental stress as well. What is stressing you out? What's draining your energy? What sustains your energy? And what enhances your energy? Knowing those 3 things, asking yourself that, whether it's people, whether it's environments, whether it's food that you're eating, whether it's your own thoughts that you're thinking. We all have that negative Nelly that can be exceptionally draining, and we can live in that self-pity or that self-victim. I did it for years. You know, there's no judgment around that, but it doesn't help us to get well. It doesn't help us to take the action that we actually need to in order to empower ourselves to create different changes in our lives as well, or our life as well. Sorry, muddling my words. And of course work. Like if you're not doing something that you love, or, you know, there's huge inner conflicts there. I know I experienced that for a time in my life as well, where I was literally curled up in the fetal position, crying my eyes out, forcing myself to have a shower before I went to work. That was not helping my adrenals on any level. So make sure that you love what you do. If that doesn't feel possible for you now, drop me a link, PM me. There's certainly some ways that we can chat about finding some additional streams of income for you, or perhaps to leverage or to get yourself out of that situation as well. I'm super passionate about helping people have the greatest health, be the best version of themselves, and create an incredible financial income as well. It's so, so important. Without our health, we haven't got anything. If you're feeling tired and fatigued, tune into your body. Figure out what is the limiting belief, what's forcing you in your mind to keep doing this pattern over and over and over again that's clearly not sustainable for you, particularly if you're feeling awful. Check in with your food, check in with your exercise, and check in with what is the environmental or the mental stresses that you're experiencing in your life as well. If anyone wants any more information about this, or you'd like to chat further about this, please either direct message me, so PM me, or pop a comment below, and I'm more than happy we can organize a time and have a chat about it, get you back on track, feeling amazing, and particularly like around Christmas time too, we all want to be able to experience that joy rather than the, oh my God, it's Christmas, you know, like bah humbug. You know, it's a beautiful time of the year, but if you're feeling stressed, if you're not feeling well, if you're overindulging in loads of wine or loads of coffee and then trying to compensate with sugar and all that stuff, you're going to feel revolting. It's just a given, right? Like the body can only handle so much of that stuff. And in my experience, the cleaner that you get, you know, with your diet and overall living, the body can't actually tolerate as much of, you know, when we're fully abusive of our body or not putting the right things in. But long term, you're going to have much greater health, much greater well-being, and feel emotionally so much better. So I hope that's been helpful for you guys. Have an amazing day. Lots of love to you. Thank you so much for tuning in. And like I said, if sorry, losing my voice now. Like I said, if you want any more information, pop yes below, or the comment below, send me a direct message and we can go from there. Have a great day, guys. Lots of love. Bye.